Welcome to the No Love Podcast, where we decrease tomorrow's divorce rate today by teaching singles and couples alike how to experience love on purpose and not by chance. I'm your host, Edward L. Fairley, accompanied by my wonderful, lovely co-host, Michelle Larkin. Michelle, say hi to the people.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to No Love. We know more than we did yesterday, definitely.
All right, so you know the routine. We're just getting started. So what do you have going on? How's life treating you?
I was trying to post, but I'm gonna have to do it in a second after we have this part. But I'm excited. I have Queen's Moves is a project that I do to help women get clear and make their next best move. And I have a new iteration, 2020. Excited to be able to launch that. I'm going to do a free webinar version, 2-hour version on December 7th on a Saturday. I'm setting up my landing page for that, so it'll be out later tonight on my Facebook page so people can sign up. But I'm excited about that. I can't tell you how many testimonies I've gotten even weeks after where the thought-provoking kind of conversations and the clarity is like, wow, I didn't know. And like our last session, the session before this one, and the young lady was completely like borderline depressed, suicidal. And the next time I checked in with her, she had a new job. She was living her best life, and she's on her cruise right now to Mexico. And I was like, I'm just saying, a little clarity. And then this one we probably had one on October 19th. I had one, and it was a young lady who was transitioning out of what she perceived to be retirement, and it was a weight. It was causing her anxiety, and I said, after the conversation, we realized that she wasn't really transitioning to retirement, which in her mind was a perception of death or just going out to pasture, but it was actually transitioning to a better way of showing up in the world in the way that she wanted to. And then when she kind of shifted to that, it just opened up a whole world of possibilities. So it's been really exciting, and I look forward to sharing that with more people. And so on December 7th, from 10 to 12, we're going to do a free version. Whoever wants to come show up, and we'll walk through the whole clarity process.
You're starting to freeze up again. First, I thought it was me on my end, but you're freezing up, and I was checking it on live to see if it would do the same thing, and you're freezing up off and on. Just want you to be mindful of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I can do because I turned off all of my other stuff. I can switch to my phone.
Okay. It's up to you. But you're fine right now. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. That's not a thing. No, you're not here to be a mime at all. That's actually not gonna be a thing. So
anyway,
so
how's your week been, my friend?
It's been a week. It has been a week. It's been a week. Interesting people responding to interesting people, and it's been a week. I've been tested. I've succeeded in my test. I must say that. So I'm glad, proud of myself in reference to that. But it's been an interesting week. Are you going to tell them how they would ultimately be able to link up to it, or because it's so far off in December, you'll just wait until the next show to let them know how to get set up with Queen's Moves there?
You can go right now. There's a queensmoves.net. The Queen's Moves is out there, and you can log on and register to be part of the newsletter, in which case you'll get the blast about it. And then otherwise, I'm going to put out something on my Facebook page, both my Yumi Connections Facebook page and my Michelle Larkin Facebook page. Probably later tonight, it will be the landing page will be posted, and then I'll just start talking about it and sharing some of the testimonials from other people who've attended. So I would say check me out on my Facebook page, my probably on my LinkedIn page too. Who knows? I mean, you got to be careful about that, but but UMI-connections or Queens Moves, QUEENS moves.net, queensmoves.net.
Okay, so you're saying .net, N is in Nancy, E is in Echo, T is in Tango, not .com, it's .net, queensmoves.net. Cool, perfect, excellent, even. I'm gonna let y'all know up front, this show is gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This is gonna be an uncomfortable show. It is. We got it. Hey, that's what love looks like. You got to purge.
You know, love is a little uncomfortable. I'm gonna say that. I just have my little uncomfortableness this week. So let me rush in instead of running away. Let me rush in. Let's be difficult.
Okay. All right. Oh, you weren't about to share something? You were just talking about the journey that we're about to take today?
I'm just saying, personally, in my own little love life, it's uncomfortable sometimes to be transparent, vulnerable, and present, and it's not always easy. So I'm just going to practice leaning in instead of running away. So I'm leaning in,
Cool.
physically leaning in.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into this topic. I don't really have anything much to share. I know
You made it through the week. Amen. Won't he do
definitely made it through the week. Discovery Channel, they reached out again. So I had to tell them like straight up no, because they were trying to get in contact with my mom too. And so when my mom reached out to me, because I had just thrown the documentation away, and then my mom called me. I'm like, yo, what is going on? She said, yeah, they tried to reach out to me as well. So he sent it to me. Then I said, well, Mom, screenshot your letter, send it to me, and I'll call. Then the lady mistakenly inboxed me on Facebook, trying to respond, get someone else to be a part of that documentary. And that's how we started our dialogue. I said, you sent this to the wrong person, but I already responded. I left the voicemail on your what you call it. You might want to copy and paste this like you did and put it in my inbox and send it to the right person, because I don't even know this guy. I'm not the brother of whatever the guy name was. So then started going back and forth there, and then I finally shared, good evening, sir. I'm Mr. Elon Kennedy, a newlywed of not even a month yet. It might be a month. We're getting there. So I'm really excited for these two. I went to their wedding last month, which was great. That is a union that I was looking forward to. So yes, good evening, sir. He said, good evening, sir and madam. So we about to have a uncomfortable topic here today, sir. So I hope you ready for this along with the other listeners.
He's high, floating so high, this doesn't even pale, like doesn't even take him off this pedestal.
He said 1 month on the 11th. Yes. Mark that calendar. Know them days. I know that's right. So yeah, we about to have the uncomfortable conversation. This is it's just we gotta do it. We just have to do it. So yeah, I finished concluding and making it clear that we are not interested. I'm not interested. Then they try to flip it, like they try to make it about me. Like you can tell your story and how you were impacted by your father's decision. Like, and then you could tell them about your company and all that stuff. I'm like, wow. I felt like I'm not even gonna tell you what I felt like, but it was a hard no. Yeah, it was a hard no. And I'm like, clearly, if you knew me, you would know that is what sold me out of it, to try to make it about me. That you just really, you blew it, even if I was considering it. So let's get into this topic. The title is called "Love Is We, Not He or She." I'm gonna say it again. Love is we, for those who speak French, not he or she. And I'm gonna start with like probably a backstory or two to kind of share how this topic came into play. For I run a mentoring program for young men 11 through 18 years of age. every week on Tuesday nights from 6:30 to pretty much 9. And when I first started mentoring, which is probably what, I don't know, 10 or 11 years ago, when I first jumped into mentoring, I used to like encounter the children and be like, what is wrong with this boy? Or what is wrong with that boy? And then you meet the parents, and you be like, that's what's wrong with this boy. This, again, this is going to be that uncomfortable conversation. That's what's wrong with the boy. So as time progressed, I went from group mentoring to where there's some parents that just come directly to me. Good evening, Miss Lisa. She said good evening. There's some parents that come directly to me and say, hey, I would like for you to work one-on-one with my son. We're having issues with him at home or school or what have you. And there's those parents that just say, you know, I need a little more help than what you have in this group here. Cool. Now, when you're dealing with Eddie, though, you're going to have to deal with the mirror. So I literally go through an interviewing process. If you ask me if you say you want me to take this journey, whatever,
invite me into your world. You're going to get me all the way up in your world.
That's right. So there's literally, or kind of an interviewing process whereby I literally go to your house and I kind of listen to what you're asking for. Matter of fact, I make you write what it is that what your expectations of me are, what results you're looking for, to kind of gauge like, what are you really asking for? So you have to write it out, let me know. Then I come to your house and we chat it up, me, you, and the son, and I literally create contracts as to what I expect of you all and what you can expect of me. And if there's a breach of this contract, I am done. So that's just what it. I'm not. There's no. If you want me to do this, I'm in. But I'm in based off of this. So if you can comply to this and you're willing to do it, cool. And 9 times out of 10, they're not willing to do it. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's because when the
all the way to the house and then they're gonna back out.
Well, yeah, because what happens is upon that meeting,
accountability, responsibility.
Exactly. So it's not. They find out that the accountability is on the parent and the child, and
I can't
that's
just
when
be
they
the
start
passenger on this ride and just
So the parent is like, hold on, I told you to come and fix him, and it's like you are a contribution to him. So what like, and the problem is he's looking at you like, wow, she's pretty hypocritical. She's trying to get me to get my act together, but I know your life, mom. I know your life, dad, and you trying to get me to get my act together, but I'm living in this. So I share that as a backstory because, again, this is kind of where we're headed with this whole we, not he or she thing. So just stay with me. So there's one young lady who most recently, within the last year and a half now, she requested me to help with her son. And I've grown very, very fond of this woman and her passion and her determination for her son not to be a statistic. She is probably the only one that signed up for it. And as tough as it is going through with it. So I say all that to say, one night she and I are having that rough, tough exchange, and she's getting the mirror on the conversation. And at the end of our conversation, which I know she didn't like it, but she received what it was. You know, the common Eddie conclusion is, I love you. And she ended with, I know. She said, I know. And I said, that particular night, I said, how you know I love you? And she said, because you stick around with all of my crap. She said, you don't go nowhere. You deal with all my crap. And she said, and whenever I bring something to you, you always say, I don't know if you notice it, but you always say, well, we are going to have to get that taken care of. She said, you never say you need to take care of it or whatever. You always say we. You are always all in. If it's, I gotta go, I need you to be on this conference call with my son, or go to the school, put you on or whatever, core, anything she said, or it's just something that's going on in my household, or it's just me and it don't have nothing to do with my son. You always say, well, we are going to have, how are we going to attack this? She said, you always make yourself inclusive in it. And that is where we are going to start this show from today. Love is we. And what happens is we say she need to get her act together. He need to get her act together. But just like those children, when something's wrong with your spouse, that other person is thinking, well, what is wrong with her? And then they meet the spouse. Unfortunately, it's going to be like, that's what's wrong with the spouse. All right. That is what's wrong with her, because love is we, not he or she. And I'm going to start this by saying your relationship is as good as you are as an individual. This is going to be tough. Oh, this is going to be tough. But you're going to have to hear it. Your relationship is as good as you are as an individual. So this whole conversation, or this came from a triangle standpoint, where you are, this is going to embody the entire triangle. But from a starting standpoint, we got to start at the bottom, or the foundation of the triangle, which is self-interest or self-love, selfishness, however you want to put it. But you have to know and fall in love with self, because without a better you, there won't be a better two. So no, boy,
without a better you, there won't be a better two. #9 already.
Okay.
Minutes into the show.
All right, for those who are new, what just happened then when she said with her #9, #9 in the culture of no love means that is truth. There's a difference between true, there's a difference between facts, and there's a difference between truth. If I say look out your window, depending on where you are, if you're on the East Coast, if you look out the window and I say it's dark outside, that is true. That is a true statement, and actually it's also a fact. It is a fact that is true. But truth is something that always is, no matter the circumstances. So if I say it's dark outside at 7:30 a.m., that is not going to be true. So it's true right now, but truth is something that is consistent, constant, always, no matter what you do, it is. And where that comes from, #9, 9 is the number of truth. Truth meaning if you multiply the number 9 by any number, the total sum of that, if the sum total of that particular number in its simplest form will always be 9. So you can't escape the truth is basically what that means, which is why number 9 is the number of truth. So for example, I usually say 9 times 11, that's 99. If you add the total of 99, is 9 plus 9, that gives you 18. 1 plus 8, we're back to 9. 9 times 3, 27. If you add 2 plus 7, that is going to give you 9. The sum total of any number, I don't care what you multiply 9 by, the sum total in its simplest form will always be 9. That's why it's a number of truth. So if you ever see anyone, or you decide to put a statement that you heard on this show on and type #9, just put the statement behind it so that people can know what statement was made and what you felt was truth, or an aha moment, or an epiphany, or what have you. So that is what #9.
That's #9. Without a better you, you won't get a better two.
All right, so if you don't have a better you, you got a better two. There is not a better two. So you'll see her pause me real quick and say, oh, wait. Like, you're not going to just glaze over that statement. That is a #9 moment. So that is what she's doing. So again, for our new listeners, that's what just happened, so that you can understand what's going on right now. All right, so that's what #9 means. So again, if you don't have a better you won't have a better two. The situation and the experience in which you are having is predicated on your best self. Now, another thing that this came from, so that's why it's important for you to be in love with yourself as an individual, because what you're bringing to the table is going to determine what it is that you're going to have in your relationship. So this is always interesting to me, and I have to do this, especially for this show, because in the inside, I'm like, you don't really know that you are really talking about yourself right now. I have people that talk bad about their exes or their baby fathers or their baby mothers or whatever. And what you don't realize is whatever you're saying bad about that person, that whether it be their father, their parenting skills, who they are as a person at one season, if not this season, because I have people that complain about their spouses right now. You chose that person. So that is an extension of your decision making and what you think is sexy. Especially if you had a child by that person. No. That at least at that time,
at that moment,
even in that season, that's where your mental state was. So if you chose that person, at least at one point in time, you were interested in that dirty. He's so dirty. She's so dirty. So you were dirty at one point in time. And when you made that decision to sleep with him or her, or kiss him and her, or him or her, or whatever, that is where you mentally were or possibly are. Because what's also common is you just switch the face of who you choose, but you still have the same type of person. So let's get on the conversations about, hey, I keep dealing with the same type of man, or I keep dealing with these same type of chicks. That means you're attracting these same type of people, which means that is a direct reflection of who you are and what it is that you like. I'm sorry, that's just the reality.
I can attest to that, and I think that there's a moment, to your point, where you have to acknowledge, if this is like the repeat performance of the same person, then what is that saying about me? And then make peace with what it is saying about you, so you can decide whether to keep it or change it. But good God, I do have a moment where I was like, did I do that?
Exactly. And this is not to say that you're not accurate in your statement. Tara said, if you choose that person, it was your perception of your self-worth. That's exactly right. This is why the foundation.
I was in the dregs of society at one point. I was on the bottom of my own shoe.
This is why,
like, what are we doing?
It's imperative that you get your self-esteem and self-interest in order, because this is where we're going. So if you were at a great place as an individual, you would have never started with that type of relationship. Period. And this is, and again, this is not to say that what you're saying about that person is inaccurate, but it's also saying that you were at the minimum that same person or the same type of person when you were with them. So that's not making you look or sound better. So please stop doing that. Because if you're talking about how dirty that person is because you know how dirty it was, because you were in the pig pen with a dirty tail. So you're dirty, or at least you were. And we don't know what that is, because nobody knows what the other person that's saying about you is saying. So please keep your thoughts about the other person to yourself, or at least make sure that you're growing from who you were to where you had chosen that person. Because whoever you end up with, or whoever you are attached to, is a reflection of you. Period. I know. It's tough. It's gonna be uncomfortable.
It depends on where you are, right? Because right now I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like 2, 3, 4 years ago, I was which is well, we were used to be like, what are you thinking? You know, it's like, but, and he was like, what do you see? And I was like, but. There is a moment of truth, and that uncomfortable moment of truth is when you see yourself in the other person, right? And then you actually determine, is this really love? Like, do I love the person I'm seeing, or do I have the ability or desire to change the person I'm seeing? And that's like the beginning of growth. And Lord knows that moment where you go, I did that.
Exactly. So it's a reflection of growth, but at the same time, in order for you to have grown or for it to be a growth, you were there. That's where you were. So I'm proud of you, but don't be trying to talk bad about that person because that
And,
person
and
was.
that's an honest thing. Like, I have to say, I think I have a lot of respect. First of all, I respect family, and I think that if you had enough sense to be in a relationship with this person, why would you be in a relationship with somebody you wouldn't be friends with, right? So why would you talk bad about something you were involved in if you weren't going to be friends with this person? And my daughter and I were talking last night.
I get the whole thought process and rationale behind it, but I need you all to understand what the other, if the other logical person should be thinking, like, that's your baby father that you're talking about, or that's your baby's mother that you're talking about. So you were an item at one point. What does that say about you if you're talking about him or her? What does it say about you? You weren't with them under duress.
So many
you
answers
chose
to
him
that
or her.
question.
I had a and this is I didn't even say it, but in my mind, I'm like, people don't hear what they're saying. So it's a young lady who was in a domestic violence situation. Okay. And I didn't know he was a person that abused her. I knew her. I did a speaking engagement for a gala or that she had. And then I guess she found that me and her ex-husband were friends on Facebook or social media or whatever. And she immediately, she was like, well, how do you know such and such? I said, well, he and I were in a business venture years ago, rich dad, poor dad, some kind of like investing in real estate type venture. And that's how I met him. Pretty cool guy or whatever. And she was like, well, that is my ex-husband. He's the one that beat on me. I was in an abusive relationship with him and just going in. And she was like, how you couldn't tell that he was a abusive person? And I'm thinking to myself, just like you could tell when you got married to him? Like, how am I supposed to sense this in my exchange? But we have all of these things that we are attacking these people about, but it's like, do you realize that you were in a long relationship? You said ex-husband. Like, I'm supposed to, in my 8-hour interaction or 3-day event, come to this conclusion about this man because of your experience that I had nothing to do with, or I don't know. And it's like, that is a reflection of where you were there too. So however you want to flip it and talk about how bad he is, at one point in time, you were okay with how bad he is. You were at a bad place because you accepted how bad he is. So these are the things that, like, we really have to, for one, stop talking bad about who we were with because it's saying something bad about you. Let's start there. And really, really work on making sure that we have healed or fixed whatever was broken that caused us to be in that type of relationship or situation. But don't talk bad about your teacher, because that person was a teacher in your life that gave you some wisdom.
By continuing to talk bad about it, you're actually rebuilding a trench in that space.
And you didn't let go is what it really is.
And you didn't let go. So
you're still attached. Yeah, you still got something there. Yeah. So like you really, what you're really doing is telling me how you either want to hurt them, which means you're not walking in love, and they literally still have a hold on you because you didn't forgive. Whole nother show, earlier shows for those of you who knew how to get over low self-esteem, forgive, things of that nature, because it's not for them, it's for you. But that person is sleeping well at night, not thinking about you. Yeah, you have all this animosity and anger and frustration about this person, and they more than likely have moved on. And it's like, yo, we have to do better at this. Learn from it, grow from it. If it still bothers you, you have not forgiven them. So that's an opportunity to grow from
You
where you
probably
are.
haven't turned the mirror full on yourself. Like you're
That's
still focused on them. You
remember.
haven't done the work of looking at, well, what caused me to get in this relationship, tolerate this relationship, what did I learn? Like you didn't do the work of figuring out what the heck was going on there.
Remember how I said in the beginning that I had a very trying week. It seems like everybody that I was encountering only saw other people as the issue. Nobody saw themselves. No one saw them contributing to their situations or their issues. And that if you want to talk about a pet peeve of mine, that irks me to no end. Because I teach, start inside, work your way out. If I investigate all the stuff that I could have done or didn't do that could have contributed to this, I'm going to work on that first, and then we'll get to you. Now, if I investigate myself and I don't see nothing, and I get to you, we got a problem. And I'm coming to you with the problem, and we're going to have this conversation because I've done all of the investigating that I could. If it gets to you, trust me, there's something that we really got to discuss and hash out. Because one thing I'm not going to do is sleep uncomfortable to make you feel comfortable. Not doing it. I'm not. I have peace.
That would not be the we part of this.
Yeah, no. And I'll gladly say, so we're going to have to, how are we going to fix this or whatever? But we're going to make it clear as to your contribution to what I'm uncomfortable with and how we can figure out how to resolve it. Even in business, I don't allow anybody to come to me with any kind of problems without any kind of solutions or ideas as to how we're going to resolve it. So this is why a lot of times when people are actually utilizing my board game or app or whatever, I've had people say, well, what in the world? I just had a time, the simulator. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I had someone that has had an encounter with the simulation and they say, well, I just had this card and you told me I need to get my act together. Then I got the opposing side and you told me I need to get my act together. This is like hypocrisy. And I'm like, no.
What about them?
It's actually getting people to do what they typically don't do. See themselves in the particular situation. And if you take care of what you need to get done, that probably takes care of 80% of what is going to get resolved. Taking care of what you need to get done. That's why I said love is we, not he or she, because we typically say, well, if he get his act together or if she start doing this, I'll start doing that. If he stop doing this, I'll stop doing that. And it's like, okay, this is not going to work because for one, he's thinking the same thing you thinking. She need to get her act together. She's thinking the same thing he's thinking. He need to get his act together. So nobody's moving because everybody's waiting on the other move. So we need to put everything on the table, call it what it is, and say, how are we going to resolve this? And it's so common that I remember, like, in the beginning stage, even now, I'll say it to my wife, like, well, what are we going to do? She'd be like, well, I didn't. I'm like, whoa. I ain't say you. I said, what are we going to do to resolve this? But people get so caught up in getting blamed for stuff and not having anyone want to take ownership with the actual situation and dive into it as a group or a couple, which the irony in that is if we're talking about couples or at least ultimately getting there. And this is clearly not just relationships. This is in general. If you have management problems, it's going to be as good as you are as an individual. If it's your children, we started with that. You are as good as you are your child is as good as you are as an individual. And what are you going to contribute or bring to the table so that you two can take it? So a good idea, example of that, I had a mom who came to me, I'm just sick of it. He won't do nothing. He's not taking care of his responsibilities. And I gave him all of these chores. He's not doing them on time. He's so lazy. He won't do nothing. He's not doing his homework and stuff. And she said, one of my older children, they said, well, you got a new mom because mom wouldn't be at the table helping with no homework. She's sitting there trying to help with the homework. She said, I do that every once in a while, but I don't feel like doing no daggone homework. And I'm like, and you think he does? And then she looked
We
at me
don't
like,
do it because we feel like it.
I'm like, so all the stuff that you're frustrated with him about, and you're literally saying, I don't want to be doing it, is y'all have the same feelings. Y'all share the same sentiments. And she's like, I don't feel like managing, micromanaging him to make him get it, whatever. I'm like, well, you're going to have to do that until it becomes a habit for him, and then you can back off. But until then, you got to be there in the trenches with him. You have a we problem, not a he problem. And y'all are going to get that together. Y'all got to get it together, period. Mm-hmm. And this is not how people are approaching their relationships. What you thinking, Michelle? Because you're doing a lot of, I can tell you.
From the notion of we, right? So if it's about a we, and I'm some of the scenarios that you were describing, I'm wondering, when we are most frustrated, are we really frustrated with ourselves? And it kind of makes me think about if we are in love, right? What we think is in love, and we are pushing all this stuff on the other person. Do we really love ourselves? Because I think when you love yourself to the point of overflowing, right? Because a really good love relationship is I'm giving to you out of a fullness, not out of a lack. Then I can give more grace. I can give more forgiveness, and I can get in the trenches because I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for we, without feeling like I have to get something in return. Because I think that some of what you were describing where's this exchange coming from? Like, I'm giving all of this and I'm not getting it back. And I guess my real thoughts are around, are we really loving ourselves? And from your statement of you're only as good as the person that you're bringing to the table, I guess your best possible relationship is if you love yourself, you're going to find someone who loves you too, and you love them. And it's just, it is more loving and not conditional and transactional and discipline, like structure. It's just different. I don't know. I was just toying those things around in my head.
Yeah, I mean, it is a paradigm shift in the ownership. When you look at this as he need to get his act together, or she needs to get her act together, all you're doing is waiting for that to happen, as opposed to we have a problem. That is going to make you vested, and that is going to cause you to start troubleshooting.
I wanted to share this too, and please jump in and analyze this. But one of my challenges, and this is to help other people too, is that I tend to not use the word we because I don't want to project responsibility on someone that they don't want. I'm taking responsibility for me, but I'm shy about using the word we because I feel like that is making assumptions about the other person. But I do like it when I feel like when the other person uses we, but I tend to my fear keeps me from using we. And I think that hinders some intimacy because one person is using we and the other person isn't using we. And I haven't done the work to figure out where really that lack of we, and maybe it's a fear of something breaking. And so I don't want to commit because once I say we, it's a unit, and then I have to act differently. But I think it's something worth noting. If you have a challenge using the word we, or you find yourself, you don't use the word we naturally, it's an indicator. It's something worth looking into.
Well, if you are in a relationship and you're not using we, I can assure you that there's going to be problems in that relationship. Because everything that you do, if you're in a relationship, is impacting me. So that is a we thing. If you don't have your money in order, we got financial issues. We got bad credit. Like, if you're not doing well as a parent, this is why I go hard on about that can't stuff and what you say to my children. We have children issues. So if you aren't doing well in the bedroom, we got a sex problem. Whatever you do, if we are a unit, that is a we thing. And if she has an attitude or we can't communicate, and that's what the problem is. What's happening is people are getting frustrated because they don't know how to solve it. So they'll take themselves out of trying to get it taken care of and pointed on someone else instead of figuring out, okay, how can I help fix this? Think about the journey. Remember, I started troubleshooting my marriage and figuring out what we did. I'm like, how did we miss this? That's literally what I said, how did we miss this? Then I would troubleshoot relationship. How did we miss this? And then I was going to dating. How did we miss this? It's a we situation when you become an item because now we represents one unit. What's happening is people are shying away from work. And that's why this works perfectly because we talked about putting in the necessary work to get your relationship.
We talk about work.
The last couple of weeks we've been talking about indirectly, we've been talking about work. So this is you taking ownership of what the situation or circumstance is and figuring out what we have to do to get this resolved. He or she cheated. We got to figure out why that happened. What's my contribution to that? We already had this. That was a we thing. How are we going to get past this? What is the work that we need to do to get it resolved? This is, and now if you're by yourself.
We takes on a different connotation. And so like you're making the assumption that this is a unit, right? So again, like this is all relationships. If that means we've engaged in some sort of exchange where we both are here to get to a certain end. So it could be relationship, it could be work relationship. But that we unit means that you got to take into consideration what you guys have decided we is. What is we?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, remember my example was from a young lady. We're not married, we're not in a relationship per se, but her thought process and her statement was every time I bring something to you or you come you say, well, what are we going to do about it? You always you own it like it's yours and you don't have to do any of it.
That is powerful. Another hashtag 9 moment.
It says I'm vested. Go ahead.
That's the hashtag 9 moment because I think the word we expresses vested. And in the word vested or in that connection is strength. Because when you realize you're not alone and that somebody's vested in it and knows that it impacts them and they're invested as if it was their own situation, I think that it warrants a lot more reflection and engagement and commitment. And I think that probably, I don't know because I didn't use we when I was married, but I think that the word we could lend itself like water to a plant to strengthening a relationship. The more often you hear it, the more likely you are to depend on the unit and start to behave differently because you start to trust. But I think that word is kind of like water. For me, it is. And I'm privileged to be in a situation where I hear it a lot more often. And I know it has had an effect on my life. And it hasn't had an effect on my ability to relax and trust. Because I feel like I'm not alone. And like you said, just like the young lady said, you're not going to run when I get messy because it's a we situation. And I trust myself to be able to work out mess for myself. So I'm going to give that same level of effort to you. And I'm confident that we'll be able to work through it. And that's amazingly trustworthy.
Succeed or fail, it's us.
And that's our relationship. I think this had a huge impact on my life too. It's like homie's been around for a minute. So
not to mention
family.
Not to mention it's two people attacking one issue as opposed to one person attacking one issue.
Two people attacking one issue is what we is.
Exactly. And the thing about it, because you have no idea what things are going on in my head, which almost wants to bring me to tears because I deal with so many different relationships. I see relationships whereby the spouse, he's an ex-heroin addict and he has a whole bunch of triggers, but his wife likes to smoke weed and sniff coke, and he's asking her to stop bringing that stuff around him because those are triggers for him. And she's like, well, that's not my problem.
Me. It's not my problem.
That's not my struggle. I'm fine. I can smoke weed or whatever. Like, these are the things.
I'm not going to give up what I like for your benefit is what that says.
And it's like, for one, that's saying multiple things. Like, where is my value in the grand scheme of things? And two, this is my struggle. How could you not take on this or the responsibility for my well-being by allowing that type of environment or that type of friendship to be in our household if that is a trigger for me? This is what I mean by, and it's like she's like, well, that's his problem. That's not my struggle. I like to party, whatever. Like, wow. I remember, like, I when I say when my wife was diagnosed with diabetes, I altered my what I drink and stuff with her, how we ate together. When my wife was pregnant, she was like, well, she can't sleep on her stomach. Well, we can't sleep on our stomach. As much as I could make the pregnancy mine, I made it mine. So when she's putting pillows between her legs so that she can't roll on her stomach, that's what I did. We're uncomfortable together. And we're empathizing with one another because we're sharing the same experiences. So you have, like, there's so much selfishness to he or she that destroys the possibilities of a we relationship. I'm so serious. Like, I'm really, like, I'm struggling right now because I see so many things that people are going through that they don't have to go through.
So let me ask this question, and maybe it will help you unpack a little bit of that.
Go ahead.
So we talked about previously being a whole person, and coming to a relationship as a whole person, not necessarily needing someone to fill a void in you, right?
Yeah, most certainly.
And so that's that independent person, and yet we're now talking about where what you do affects me. Can you talk about, does that mean I have to sacrifice something to be a part of a we? And how does that impact my independent wholeness? Because against the people who are coming at it from, I'm still me, and that doesn't affect me, so why do I got to worry about that? And you do you and I'll do me, and hopefully we'll get down the road together because I'm a whole person. How do you explain the wholeness and the union at the same time?
That's an excellent question. So, a successful relationship is two people living harmoniously as individuals. I stress the word harmoniously because when you think of an orchestra or a band, there are multiple different types of instruments that maintain who they are, but they make one beautiful sound in harmony. So I'm not asking you to change who you are as an individual as much as I'm saying that the music that you two collectively are making together is impacted by your contribution. So if your reed is cracked and you're squeaking, we need to get you right so that we can continue to make music together collectively. So no matter how you slice it, your contribution is based off of, is impacting one unit, and you signed up for that. So when you signed up for that, you signed up for a song that is supposed to be harmonious with
it goes back to your daughter, the illustration from last week where your daughter didn't do all the preparation that she possibly could to prepare to be in that competition or be in the band.
Exactly.
But when she went back and did the work, she could contribute at a higher level. And I guess what we're saying is in a relationship, when you're not necessarily losing yourself when you consider someone else's feelings or consider how you are impacts who this unit becomes, not necessarily who they become, but who this unit becomes, that you have to be able to even know where your weaknesses are, to be able to be transparent and say, maybe your strengths can help my weaknesses and my strengths can help your weaknesses, and together we make even better music.
Yeah, which is why you should be choosing someone that you two are a great duet, as opposed to two solo artists.
Time out.
Oh,
you two are a great duet. Unpack that for a moment, because some of the best duets, you have a soprano and a tenor. You have, it's not the same note. They are complementing each other, and that's just a beautiful illustration of the we.
Yeah, most certainly.
That's
Because
a beautiful illustration of we.
So yeah, the duet, honestly, yeah, you should be choosing someone that's a great duet. And that's why this triangle is so important to understand and learn. Because at the foundation, we talked about self-interest. So self-interest is dating yourself, falling in love with yourself, understanding who you are, so much so that you fall in love with who you are and aren't willing to alter who you are, so that when you meet someone, you present yourself as who you are and they choose who you are. So they have chosen your authentic self and fallen in love with you, as opposed to you acting a certain way and trying to maintain a false presentation and getting frustrated with them when they try to change you back to who you presented yourself as in the first place. But at the same token, when you leave from that foundational phase and you choose, which is the second part of the triangle, selflessness, you've chosen selflessness because you've chosen a person that meets your standards, i.e., your morals, your values, your principles, your beliefs. Those things are what you should be choosing your mate based off of, which you should conclude as to what that is when you are in your self-interest or dating phase, falling in love with yourself. So when you get to that point where you are in a place where you love being by yourself, you will not add another individual in there that would ruin what that feels like. So you're just going to add someone that is in harmony with the love that you already have for yourself, which makes you choicey or picky or whatever you want to call it when you're selecting your person, selective. So when you select that person, this is the person that you've chosen to be in a duet with, so to speak, and live in harmony with, so much so that you are willing to be selfless with them and love them in a manner that helps them.
Yeah, and in a duet, you know, when you're playing when in a duet, like, and I'm thinking Chris Brown, No Air, or there's just lots of duets out here, but you let the other person do their run. It doesn't let them do that, and then you compliment them, and so there's this give and take and this beautiful in and out of, you know, and it's not a 50-50. It's definitely an in and out. And you know, any good singer will tell you that being with a good singer makes them sing better.
Yeah,
because they're willing to take more chances.
And that's the thing, and that's, see, when you're in a duet, it's pointless to make that person sound like you. And this is what happens when you don't sign up to be in a duet. You're starting to try to make them sound and act and think like you. And that's where you get conflict or what have you, as opposed to appreciating what they have to offer and even helping that particular thing. And that's why,
yes, again, like giving them the space to like do their thing, yeah, and then be like, yeah, baby, that's it right there, and then jump in on your part.
Exactly. So it's important to know yourself, so that when you decide to become a duet and become selfless, now you're learning them. You take the steps to learn yourself and bring that to the other person. And the reason why you have to do that is because typically opposites attract. So you're learning how to love them in the manner in which they need to be loved. But now you're equipped to teach them how you need to be loved if it's the opposite, because you've taken the time to know how it is that you need to be loved. And what I'm saying is, if this man needs you to keep drugs away from him, for him to help with how you feel about someone that you're supposed to love, that can literally destroy him, then that is what you need to do. That's his solo part.
That's his solo part. You need to be quiet and let him have his solo part, and you will be back in and do your part. It'll be fine. Let him have his solo. Support a brother.
So then we move and we transition to the third aspect of the actual triangle. So we went from self-interest to selflessness, which that person has proven to be worth you actually taking the time to accommodate their needs when it comes to feeling loved, because they're sharing with you how they need to be loved, and then you too will tell them what it is that you need to as far as expressions of love, so that they can accommodate you and vice versa. And then you transition to self-evolution, which is what keeps the fire going, because if you remain the same exact person that you were when you first started, you will ultimately become a boring person because I learned everything there is to know about you and you're no longer interesting. What makes a person or the spark of a relationship high is the fact that you are something new. And if you stop growing, I will ultimately learn everything about you, which makes you no longer interesting and not sexy and not attractive, and everything goes downhill from there. Which in turn, if you are
like going back to the duet part, it's like if you enjoy your notes, the other person enjoys you singing your note too. Like that. If you've ever seen like some of these award shows and you get the duets and the two singers are really riffing off each other and they enjoy seeing the other person do their thing and knowing that they both are equally talented, if not feeding off each other's talent. And there's a great amount of energy off of that. And I say that in a relationship is the same. Like when you know that you're supported, when you know that this person has your back and not because they have to, but because they genuinely want to, and that we is a selfless we, right? Because they're comfortable in their own skin. And there's like, that is the most, it's like wind beneath your wings. It's the, yes, I can. It's the, I'm going to give it a try. It's the, I'm going to try and develop myself more because I know somebody, I will be able to bring all of this success home and celebrate it with somebody. You know, like that is the yin to your yang. Having a we is a very powerful, exciting thing. Whether it's in your best friend, your mate, a teammate, it is invigorating. And so don't hold it back. Give it away. Give people a we.
And at the same time, it is the duets that they break up because there's one person that wants to be an individual or a solo.
They want a peacock. People want to peacock and have their little feathers out and just be like, yes, I'm the peacock. Like get over yourself.
But that's on your island. This is what we're talking about when it comes to relationships. And that's exactly what that looks like. She needs to get her act together. He needs to get his act together. It is, I have it all together. I'm doing my parts right. She is messing up this. No, this is y'all.
Is you the Bobby Brown of the group? Is that what's going on right now?
This is y'all.
I gotta go because I'm good and y'all ain't. Okay.
So
we'll be back to your reunion tour.
If you are at a place where you typically point blame or say he or she, this is not going to be an easy transition. So we all know that. So how in the world, Edward L. Fairley, do I transition from that he or she to we? I'm glad that you asked.
My bad. You didn't tell me to ask that question.
The way that you do this is, I want you to think about this. Close your eyes if you have to. What is your thing that you struggle with and you wish you had a hold of? What is that thing that, like, man, if I could just get this together, I'd probably be all right. But this is like a weakness of mine. This thing that, man, I really wish I had this together. What is that thing? And whatever that thing is, make it what their thing is. Approach their thing with that thing in mind. And that will give you compassion for their struggle and allow for you to jump in to help them through theirs. Because if you can equate your struggle with theirs and say, we have the same struggle, it just looks different, that will allow for you to have enough compassion for you to jump in and make it a we thing and dive into attacking it collectively. And it might allow for them to help you with your me thing to get through that. Because what the problem is, we typically have our strengths and we can't empathize with other people who have their weaknesses that align with our strengths. And it prevents us from being able to be compassionate or lend a hand or help or empathize with their situation, and we judge them. And we just tell them they need to get their act together, as opposed to seeing where you struggle. They see it all the time in church. They be like, Pastor, you need to preach on this. Or they going, yes, you better tell it. And then when you can tell when he touch on their struggle, because they're real quiet. They got their head down, they're looking around. They go to the bathroom or whatever. Wait, where's all that passionate because that's your struggle. And when we get to a place where we start looking at other people's struggles like our struggles, we'll all be able to help each other through each other's struggles. And that's how you go from looking at things as a he or she and looking at it as we. First, you conclude or realize that whatever they do or have a problem with is a reflection of y'all collectively, which is you. And also, you need to look at their struggle or their weakness as something that you have to sit and do that homework. You have to micromanage that collectively with them until it becomes a habit or a strength of theirs, and until they can move forward. What you thinking, Michelle?
So it's for me piggybacks on assume good intent, right? Which is for me helps me to trigger to use empathy and compassion. But for one of the things that is an example of this is I have a lot of male friends, so and I don't have romantic relationships with them. They're honestly strong, wonderful, fabulous men. I was doing a presentation one time and I said I have lots of love in my life from plenty of male people, and I'm single, and some of them are married, and I will be all up in their space with their wife. Like, let me sit right here and be loved too. But and that's no threat to somebody I'm dating. So to your point of, then I should be able to extend that same position to them. If I have male friends, and like your wife must feel the same way. Like you say you love me, and you say I love you to other people, but it's not the same. So there should be a threat. So I have to extend to the person that I'm seeing the same liberty to have had a history and may have female friends that they are not in the same relationship with, but that shouldn't keep them from spending time with that person. Because if I can spend time with my friends and not have any ulterior motives, I have to assume that the other person can do the same. So that has opened my mind up to being able to have honest conversations about the friends in my life, and for him to do the same, because now we can talk about it without who that and how come you doing this? But because that's when people start to hide things, right? It's because you can't talk about it. But if you can open it up and give, again, like you said, if I can see it through the eyes of what I deal with as a struggle and see their issue the same way, it's even further than empathy. It becomes true and unconditional acceptance. Yeah, and I think that's at the root of what real love has, is unconditional acceptance. Because if you can accept yourself without I'm good, or I could do this, but I'm not enough, and I'm not able to do all the things and all these other extra words, but I just love you, just period. Not because you did something or you can do something or what you're going to do for me or you're good enough, or that, just because if I can see myself that way, then I can see somebody else that way. Yeah. But it does allow for more transparent conversation too, because you're not looking for the insecurity, your own insecurity, right? So I use that example because I don't have a problem talking to somebody I'm dating about the opposite sex, because I don't assume any negativity first. Like I'm not stupid. I mean, you ask questions, but my first assumption isn't coming from how I judge myself. Like I think you've said that before. If you're projecting your own insecurity and guilt on somebody else.
Yeah, well, certainly.
But if you can check that, get it cleaned up, deal with it, then you don't project as much, and you get to be more present.
Which is why it's important for you to be the first person to do whatever it is that you need or you're lacking. So you need to be the first one to forgive. You need to be the first one to trust. And in order for you to believe that someone can do that for you, or to believe that someone else can do it, because you need to be your evidence. And we base our lives or thought processes off of the evidence that we have, which is why a lot of people try to project like, well, you can't do that. They're really saying I can't do that. I don't think you'll be successful at that. They're saying I can't be successful at that. That's not their gifting. So we typically project things on others. Whereas when we know we could do something, we say something like, well, that's common sense. You should know how to do that. Or why can't you do that? Because you just, in your mind, if I can do it, you can do it, which goes back to me saying, close your eyes, think about what is that thing? What is the thing that you're struggling with? If you can align that with other people's struggle, you will become a compassionate human being, and you will start assisting in putting out so many fires with compassion, and you will have a lot of people that will
I
assist you.
don't think that we allow ourselves to see that people hurt as much as we do. Like when you're feeling hurt, like hurt, I don't think we ascribe that same pain to somebody else. Like we don't. That's true empathy, right? Like if you're hurting, if I felt that hurt the way I feel hurt, I would be a lot more caring.
Yeah.
If I could if I could really truly get in there and feel from that perspective. I think we cut people too much like slacks. Like they don't hurt as bad as I hurt. They might be uncomfortable, but they don't hurt.
That I don't like for people to hurt or be in a bad predicament, but but I'm willing for you to be uncomfortable when I know that you're about to hurt yourself. And that's where my we comes into play. So it's not we in the sense that, hey, we need to get yourself together. It's I see what you're doing how it's gonna hurt you. So we need to get a hold of this. And I'm willing to go in it with you. So if I'm asking you to do this, like I said, if you can't sleep in your stomach, I can't sleep on my stomach. If you can't eat this, I can't eat this. So we're taking all of the sugar out of the refrigerator. This is what we're going to do. I know it's a struggle for you, but you're not doing it by yourself. So that's pretty much it. That we've covered it all. Love is we, not he or she. And when we start getting to a place where we're having issues with our relationship, a relationship is nothing but a mirror of where you need to grow. and what happens is where the conflict comes is it's a place where you're struggling to actually resolve issues and have the wisdom to address it. And we try to shy away from it or point it and push it on someone else as opposed to owning it and then figuring out how to have a solution collectively together. Lisa put respect their struggle because it is valid and is important to them and should not be disregarded. That's exactly right, Lisa. And that's why I stress that you need to align it with what your struggle is, because that it's important to you. So that in turn will make theirs important to you because you're not looking at through the lens of what their struggle is. You're looking at it through the lens of what yours is. And that's where compassion and empathy comes from. Go ahead. Your concluding thoughts, Michelle?
That if a relationship is truly a mirror and some of the conflicts and issues that you address are really opportunities to learn about yourself, then count it all joy. There's really a lot of opportunity in the exchanges that we have every day and the stresses we experience every day to really scrub that mirror, with some Windex and get it to be really shiny so that we can attract and reflect the best in all of us and see the best in others so that we can, have that experience in life. I can definitely see from me over time doing the work, my mirror has definitely gone from very cloudy to very clean to even embracing conflict as an opportunity to question my own internal issues. Like, what is it that triggered me on that? Like, why did I go off the deep end? Why did I feel that way? Not so much, you shouldn't have done that, but why did that hurt my feelings? And that's this evolution, that's moving along the triangle again. All of those conversations make me better because now I've discovered a new part of me. I don't have to have that trigger anymore. Like, that's pretty cool. So again, if relationships truly are a mirror, and we have so many of them in so many different ways in our life, then all of those interactions are truly opportunities. And do the work, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey.
Yeah, that's excellent. I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Stop avoiding the mirror. Look at it. Look at that mirror, and do the work necessary to get to a place where you're fine with what you see. wipe that face, get that crud out your eye, get that toothpaste that's on the corner of your lip. Everything that comes to you that you don't like, sit in that, figure out how in the world are we going to do this as a unit collectively, because the way I look like is being pointed to me every day. What you all are arguing about is something that you're falling short about. So you're either going to look at it and say, we're going to own it and figure out how we're going to resolve it, or you're going to keep on walking away from the mirror, but you're still ugly. No matter, I'm sorry, you're still ugly. So no matter, you can avoid the mirror. You can get trick mirrors that make you look as slim as you want to look, but you're not really slim. You can get mirrors that make you look, all of these daggone filters that make you look older, make you look younger. You can do all of the tricks that you want. But in the
like
end,
on the selfies where you put all these filters on it.
You look like you. And if you have a problem with the way you look, and please don't understand what I'm saying. We're not talking about physicality. This is an analogy, a metaphor. So if you don't like how you look, and this is internal, then you need to do the work and clean it up, fix it. Because when you are saying she or he, that's not my problem, that's her problem, or when she gets together, that is your relationship. So you are allowing your relationship that you own to be destroyed. And that's what the enemy wants. So as usual, you all are amazing. I can't stress to you all know it's a lot of viewers today. I appreciate y'all's minds and time. I appreciate y'all's consistency. I appreciate y'all sharing. I appreciate y'all coming back, which is the consistency. And I just appreciate the fact that you all are comfortable or getting comfortable with being uncomfortable so that we can all grow together in this thing called love and start this mission to just saturate the world with love. Because I can assure you, love conquers everything. There's so many things that are being created to pacify or put band-aids on open wounds when just love would actually like plug up the hole or stitch it up. And this is the power that comes with it. A lot of things that I could tell people's their mindsets are shifting, their perspectives are shifting, and the feedback and the inboxes that I'm getting, I'm full. You all keep me full, and I continue to fill myself up so I can continue to pour into you all, and I will continue to do that. I truly appreciate y'all. It's been a pleasure. Until we meet again, love y'all. Peace.
Love y'all. Have a great week.